One of the most common questions people ask when they're starting their food truck journey is, should I start a truck, trailer, or stall? And I want to clear up that question in this video with a bit of a pros and cons list between each of them. I've seen the best things that can happen out of a truck, the worst things, trailer, stall, best things. I've seen it all. So pay attention till the end of the video and you'll have a pretty clear understanding of which one will be the best fit for you. All right. So the pros of a truck, obviously you're in a contained unit. And by that, I mean, it's all in one piece. You jump in, you're driving it, the kitchen's in the back. It's all convenient and very beautiful. And it makes it very easy when you have staff as your business grows, driving your truck, doing all sorts of things. That's a really big benefit. That kind of ties in with easy, self-explanatory. It's all together and it's very versatile. So if you're doing a private catering gig, which is normally the scenario where you need a versatile unit, if you're trying to get into like a smaller space or something, you might be able to do that with a trailer. So a truck can be very convenient to kind of get around into smaller spots, or if someone wants to have catering from the backyard or out the back of a business or something like that, it can make it much easier than if you had a trailer. It can present a bit of inconvenience. So with a trailer, and we'll get into the cons next, we'll go through the pros, but it's much more affordable than a truck for obvious reasons. It's just a kitchen in a box on wheels, whereas a truck, you've got a vehicle attached to it. So the benefit of having a kitchen from the vehicle is that there's a few benefits, but the main one is, say your truck's done 500,000 kilometers or whatever, the kitchen's probably going to be fine. Whereas your truck is like, it needs replacing. Like, it can't go any further, the vehicle's finished. So with a trailer, you've still got the ability to obviously buy another vehicle. The kitchen and the trailer is still going to be usable. And this means it's not depreciating anywhere near as fast as the truck. So the idea is the value of your trailer, it's going to hold pretty strong as opposed to the truck. If you buy a truck, it depreciates like a car, right? Whereas a trailer, if you buy a trailer secondhand and you put 100,000 kilometers on it and you change the tires and you keep it pretty clean and everything, it's going to hold a similar value. So that's the main benefit from having the kitchen separate from the vehicle. We'll go into another one later about the con of the truck, but that's the main one there. Larger kitchen. So of course you can have a large kitchen in a truck as well, but if you've got similar playing field of cost for a truck and a trailer, you're going to be able to get a much larger kitchen inside a trailer. Now, if you opt to have a really large kitchen in a truck, and don't get me wrong, these exist, they are super expensive. Like, we're talking like $400,000 or $500,000 for what might cost you $70,000 or $80,000 inside a trailer. And the reason is, it's just so much bigger. It requires a massive vehicle, an actual truck, to be able to tow this thing. You often see like shipping container trucks. The scenarios I find those massive trucks exist is when the owner actually has some kind of vehicle truck building experience. They've got connections in that industry to be able to offset the cost a little bit. Meaning, if you want to go down that path, a massive kitchen to be able to cater enormous events, trailer is probably the way to go if you don't have some kind of technical experience in that field. All right. And then lastly, for the pros, a stall, and this is how I started, so much cheaper. You can get started for between $5,000 and $10,000 quite generously. So if you're starting from square one and you don't have the money to get started, a lot of people think there's limitations with a stall. And there are limitations, we'll go through it, but I would highly recommend, if you don't have much money, to get started down here. Obviously you can finance these options, but if you don't like the idea of financing, you can't get finance or whatever, it's an amazing option to go down the stall route. I was making amazing money within 6 months of starting my business, and I really recommend it. It's very adaptable. So that means you can change stuff really affordably. So if you want to change your brand completely, or you want to rearrange the kitchen, or you want to make it bigger or whatever, you just buy another marquee, or you change the tables around, or you just replace certain pieces of signage. Obviously you can do that with a truck or trailer too, but I think you get the idea. That kind of ties in with the testing phase. So if you try something in a stall and it just doesn't work, you go, cool, well, I'll try something else. And you've probably got half the equipment. You probably only need to spend another $500 to be able to try the next thing. If you try something in a trailer or a truck and you built out your kitchen 100% sure that this is the thing, this is going to work, and it doesn't work, you're probably going to incur a lot of costs to try and change it, or even worse, you're just not going to change it because you have spent all your money, or you can't bear to lose that money you've spent, and you just keep trying to make something work that is probably never going to work. So having that testing phase is super valuable. And in my opinion, it's the best return on investment from the initial investment to what you can make out of it very quickly. So now we're going to get into the cons. Trucks are very expensive. We've touched on that there. And this is mainly because you're buying a vehicle. You're buying the vehicle that can tow the kitchen. But you're not just buying a little hatchback car vehicle that's attached to it. As I said, you're buying a vehicle that it's a commercial vehicle. So that adds a lot of cost. This is something that is super important, really overlooked. And often people will find themselves in this pickle, or just realize it the day before they're doing it, or something like that. If you're setting up at an event, public or private, and you're setting up the day before, or even that night or something, and your house or your accommodation is further than walking distance away from the event, you drive your truck to the event and park it there, ready for trade, you're bumped in, and then you go, I need to get home. Well, you've got a few options. You can walk a really long way, get an Uber, public transport, or you get someone else to give you a lift. But then you've got to get back there the next day again. See what I mean? Like it doesn't sound like a big deal, but compared to if you have a trailer, and that's what I was going to touch on, your kitchen's separate from the vehicle. So you can park your trailer there, get in your car, drive home, drive to your accommodation, come back the next day, trade. That's a big benefit in my eyes. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but I don't have a truck. I've just got to install on a trailer, but I can imagine it would get very exhausting after a little while. Mechanical problems equals complete business disaster. So if your truck breaks down on the way to an event and you've got a calendar full of events, you can totally rent a truck to replace it while the vehicle's being repaired, obviously. But if you blow a head gasket or some mechanical problem that puts your vehicle off the road for a month and you've got a calendar full of events, it's complete disaster, comparatively anyway. So that's something to be mindful of. Small kitchen, we discussed that. It's not adaptable, as in you can't just rearrange tables and everything, just like I spoke about in the stall. And because it costs the most, it's absolutely the highest risk. Now, in saying all that, if you have a proven brand and you've got a good calendar of events and you have mechanical support available, you've got backup plans, because it will break down at some point, it's a fantastic way to scale your business with a truck, because like I said, it's easy for staff to run your business for you. You send them to an event, they come home, there's no messing about, there's no extra moving parts or things that can go wrong. But it is the highest risk, so I would highly recommend not going with a truck as your first investment. Obviously, the downside with having a kitchen separate to your vehicle is you need another vehicle that can tow it. That's a downside. You need to tow. So if you're someone that's not good at towing or reversing or that sort of thing, you either need to learn or you need to learn, or you need to account for it, basically. You need to attach and reattach a trailer. That's just something that's going to have to be done constantly. So just be okay with that. And it's something to account for as well. When you've got staff working for you, you're planning to scale your business, they're going to have to do that over and over and over. So having people with that sort of skill set, you want to have a few strong people that are physically capable and able to, just push it a bit further if it's not quite on the trailer, or just that kind of thing. Okay, so set up and pack up. This is really annoying, don't get me wrong. And all these cons for a stall are going to come with the fact that it's been very cheap to set up. So by you getting into this business for very, very cheap, $5,000, it cost me about $3,000. So 5 to 10 is very generous. Set up and pack up it's annoying, but I think it's not the end of the world at all. If you can have that adaptability and testing phase and be able to rearrange things that you're probably going to be wanting to rearrange stuff in these other two, then it's not that big a deal. There's things you can do to optimize your setup and pack up by amazing orders of magnitude. If you have everyone in their right roles, disassembling and assembling and cleaning at the right times, and everyone has their role, It's pretty amazing how quickly you can go from having a temporary kitchen set up to it being packed to the van and you're on the road. Undercover storage is required. So obviously you need somewhere to put all your equipment undercover as opposed to a trailer or a truck. You don't need to put it undercover. You just park it somewhere. So you need to pay for storage or put it in your garage or something like that. You need a van or a trailer to transport your equipment. If it's a really small stall, you should be able to fit it in your car or a station wagon or something like that. But that's very early days. You don't want to be relying on that long term. You do need a trailer, large ute or a van. I've got a giant long wheelbase van to be able to transport equipment to and from events. If you're doing large events, we just rent a truck now and we pack multiple stalls into that truck, and that isn't as expensive as you would think. Hard work, goes without saying. Inappropriate for some events, and by that I mean it's hard to market your market stall for private events. To be able to say we're going to cater your wedding is totally doable. People do it. I've never done that from a stall. It's, in my opinion, difficult to come across professional from a stall to be able to do that at scale and really grow a sustainable business. The other thing is some public events actually won't accept stalls. And lastly is the low resale value. People just don't want to pay as much for a food stall business as they do for a truck or trailer business. Say you're making $500,000 a year profit from either of them. Which one do you think is going to attract a higher valuation, even if they've all got the same value of equipment in there? It's definitely going to be the truck business. It just looks easy to operate, smooth. That's it. Right, guys. So I hope that was helpful. Hope that cleared up some questions. I know that's a lot of information. These are all the things you want to look for when you're juggling which one should I start, truck, trailer, or stall. Say you've got your heart set on one of them, or you've got a certain price window you're thinking. That's kind of your limitation, how much you're willing to spend. And I personally would start down this end. If you've got a bit more to spend, get a trailer. If you can tow and you're kind of handy like that, go for this option. If you really don't have much money at all to spend and you think that a stall is just not a very smart idea and you should wait and save to get a trailer, I would highly recommend to throw that idea away and get started with the stall. They're a great business to run and helps me save up to get a trailer. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.